Everybody, welcome back to the Cows channel, where we are on A Cow's Opinion, where I go over the latest news and views covering the video game industry and give you my opinion on things like Square Enix, EA calling fans a milkshake head, and Sony taking a massive dump on EA games. And I give you my opinion, but there's no reason to get mad or offended because it is A Cow's Opinion. It is a moot point. It does not matter. First of all, let me just say it's going to be a bit shorter today. If you don't know, a couple days ago, this past Thursday, the 24th of November, was Thanksgiving in America, so it's been pretty much a holiday. A lot of people are off on Thanksgiving Day, a lot more people than off that Friday, and then, so you have a 3 or 4 day weekend for a lot. Not enough news came out during all this, which is why I just have some basic stuff to go over. We do still have news. For instance, it was the 20th anniversary of Square and Enix joining forces to create Square Enix, obviously. Now, we know today Square Enix is a massive Japanese publisher who recently sold all their Western IP for really dumb reasons at a really ridiculously low price. But 20 years ago, Squaresoft and Enix were probably the two biggest, most well-known, and amazing Japanese publishers. And then they suddenly merged. Now, Japanese companies, as the article points out, love a good merger, whereas in the West, it's acquisitions. You know, one company buys another. In Japan, it's a lot more both sides really want to merge. This was a huge deal. Cannot stress how 20 years ago, this was a huge deal. Both companies put out a lot of really great games, including a lot of RPGs. Final Fantasy was from Square, Dragon Quest was from Enix, and they were the top. It's crazy to think about this now, but the merger was on a shaky ground because Enix was showing a reluctance to seal the deal after Square made a series of questionable business decisions, including the absolute fortune on the CG movie flop Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. So a little more than 20 years ago, Squaresoft was trying to, expand their portfolio of what they had to do. And probably the biggest bomb was they made a CGI movie, which, don't get me wrong, looked amazing. The problem is that this was done by a video game company that usually use CGs for plot and beauty, but not for story. The story of the movie was not that great. It looks amazing. If you want to see it, I can't recommend it enough for that, but don't expect a really great plot because it's not really. It's not. It's only called Final Fantasy to get you to understand, and I think there's a Sid character in it too, but there's no summons, there's no swords, there's probably not enough action and fighting in the movie for it, but it just is what it is. And at the time, Enix is like, I don't want to know if we actually want to be with these guys because they might wreck the balance sheet. But thanks to Square's success with PS2 titles like Final Fantasy X, phenomenal game, Enix did agree to the merger and was announced on the 25th of November 2002, literally just 20 years ago, a few days ago. Here's a photo of it. And ever since then, if you're thinking JRPGs, you're thinking Square Enix. It's one of the biggest companies in the world that's in the video game industry. It's definitely the Japanese equivalent to, say, EA or Activision Blizzard, which may or may not exist in a year from today, but we'll get to that in a little bit. And it's still publishing huge. Like Final Fantasy 16's on the horizon, as this article points out. But overall, I'd say the company is doing pretty well. So, that is just a nice little congratulations to our Japanese publishing company, Square Enix, on 20 years. Hopefully you get another 20 because you made some pretty actually good games. Moving back to these shores, EA calls a fan a milkshake brain and is then sorry for it. So, as we all know, the official Twitter handle of upcoming Need for Speed Unbound is very busy these days. They've got an upcoming Need for Speed, and Need for Speed is not the best racing, but it is a big franchise, and it's been trying to be synonymous with that. You do have Forza and other stuff going that is more well known, does better sales. But over a heated debate between a fan bashing EA for not paying much attention to the fans and the Need for Speed account getting right back at them, things escalated quickly with the fan in question being called Milkshake Brain, and that's not lovable. Now, they have apologized, and this just goes to show that if you run, you can't, no, it doesn't, if you're on Twitter and you're trying to promote yourself or business, guys, just, there's a block function for a reason. Just don't engage with fans that are going to, you can't win. Everyone think, I'm going to insult this person, and then everybody's going to say, that was a good shot. No. Nobody, unless they're seriously the most toxic individual ever, the vast majority of your consumer base is not going to care that you shut down some rando on Twitter. Here's the rundown. So Need for Speed Unbound's release is 3 days, it's just days from now. But if you get the Palace Edition, you get a 3-day early access. This is one of those weird things that people have been offering that fans are kind of iffy about, paying to get to play just a couple days extra. Now, this costs $80. People are not happy that some people are trying to increase prices to $70. Sony, I'm looking at you, and now they want $80 to get to play just 3 days early. Now, a fan not particularly liking to pay extra for early access let themselves loose on the official Twitter account, replying to the concerned fan when they started discussing the moral obligations and possible conduct for Need for Speed. The Twitter manager called the fan Milkshake Brain. Now, the cow loves a good milkshake, but I don't even understand what kind of insult. I guess soft? The same account now put up an apologetic tweet admitting that some replies crossed the line. You can't win when you engage with these people. Don't try it. So let's take a look at it right now. This is from Legacy Killer HG, who is pretty good. This edgy EA social media employee is embarrassing. Have you not learned anything? No, Michael, they have not. You asked and we listened. Pre-order Need for Speed Unbound today for 3 days early access. And then Kylo Zen Zero. Hold on. What did we ask for and what did you listen to exactly? To pay more to get 3 days early access? And he's like, no, gameplay video. 3-day early access was always there. Reading is fundamental. Okay. Look, I understand what the Need for Speed, this is not terrible, but here's your first problem. This guy's like, what are you talking about? We don't want this. And the Twitter account starts correctly, which is, no, dude, we were saying, here's the gameplay video, and the 3-day early access was always there. We're not announcing it now. The reading is fundamental part is a decent clapback, but it's not helpful. You're not the Wendy's account. Don't try to be. Even the Wendy's account does it only to corporate accounts for the most part. It's not a good look when you're clapping back on your fans and potential customers. Right. Charging extra to your loyal fan base to play 3 days early isn't really cool and a bit exploitative. Customer relations is fundamental. Milkshake Brain. Milkshake Company. Oh, God, they're still going at it. Cry about it, bro, or buy regular price. I don't care. You're not helping at all. At this point, most Twitter accounts are run by, like, interns or young people who think that what I do doesn't matter because I'm allowed to say whatever I want. You can tell it's probably this person too. I was going to buy your game on release day, but due to the admin of this account, you've lost a sale. Well done. Stay edgy and keep being relevant for the 12-year-olds. You ain't half as cool as you think, Chief. You're an embarrassment and unprofessional. I'm not reading all that. Sorry that happened to you. Or still being in 105 replies, probably of people not very happy with it. So Kylo, who is the fan involved, did get back to the company right after being called Milkshake Brain. Following it up, only be told to cry about it or buy, but that's not it. The follow blow did come in by the witty Need for Speed Unbound Twitter account. And then after calling out the attitude, as we all saw, not reading that all that, so literally we know that you read it. Nobody looks at a tweet and doesn't read it. It's only a few hundred characters at the most. This account is not being edgy, it's just being stupid. Now here's the reply from somebody who probably saw what was about to be a PR nightmare right before release. We admit we got a little caught up in the hype for launch, and some of our recent social media apologies crossed the line. To those fans we upset, we apologize. We will do better. See you here for next week. I hope that they reached out to the actual fan in DMs to say, hey, that wasn't something we should have done. One thing's for sure, the ex-operator of the Need for Speed Twitter isn't going to be adding good customer service support communication skills on his CV moving forward. Need for Speed Unbound releases on November 29th, and if you don't buy it, apparently EA does not like you and thinks you're soft or a milkshake brain. About a month ago, EA revealed terrible customization potential in Unbound. Oh, terrific, excuse me. And uncovered the anime style of the much-anticipated racing simulator. So, yeah, this is why your PR matters, because that's a really terrible thing to have happened right when you're about to show the game off, and right when you're getting to release date, and when you're honestly trying to charge people an extra $10 to $20 to get it. So I don't necessarily want anybody to lose their job. I don't think they didn't go racial, they didn't go terrible. I don't think they went racial. He posted the shrug of, instead of the neutral yellow one, so maybe, I don't know if that was because they knew that the person tweeting at the company was black, or the person on the Twitter account was black, or they just used the most recent one. But I don't think they did anything terrible enough to be fired. I just think the whole, hey, why don't you write down what you're going to say and wait. Best news I ever learned from my job when you're tweeting or emailing or anything. If you're angry, even if you think you're 100% the right, why don't you write down what you want to say and wait 30 minutes? And then if you come back in 30 minutes and you're calm and you still think it's great, go ahead and send it. But you probably are going to at least change it up a little. So our last story comes from Sony, not safe for working all over EA from a great height. I mean, they dropped the napalm on EA, which is probably not what they want to do with one of their biggest publishers, because they threw Battlefield under the bus. Now, as we all know, and what has been helping to build this channel news content portion, is Sony really doesn't want Microsoft to buy Activision Blizzard. First of all, they're worried about all the exclusivities, the biggest one being Call of Duty. And it's really stupid, both Microsoft and Sony's arguments for and against. Honestly, I understand that several nations like Brazil have already approved the merger. The UK and the United States relevant bodies have said that they're going to do investigations, but so far it's just standard investigations. And yesterday, just a couple days ago, we had Microsoft declaring it has rubbish exclusive titles compared to Sony. And today, Sony decided to do one better in the stupidity front and said that EA's Battlefield franchise is terrible. Now, again, they're just trying to come up with the argument that's going to get their point across. There's not any one argument that's going to get the point across. Sony and Microsoft keep debasing everything that they can possibly do to get it done. Call of Duty is not replicable. Sony's filing to the CMA was reported by The Verge. Call of Duty is too entrenched for any rival, no matter how well equipped, to catch up. Now, we know that's not true, even though it's not likely to happen in the next couple of years, because at one point, all new players are going to start off small. Explained that it's been the top-selling game almost every year for the last decade. It says that other publishers do not have the resources or expertise to match its success. Now, that is all a touch spurious, given at one point that Medal of Honor series outsold Call of Duty, but it is in terms of brand that Call of Duty is better. And then Sony pushed EA under the bus. To give a concrete example, Electronic Arts, one of the largest third-party developers after Activision, has tried for many years to produce a rival to Call of Duty with its Battlefield series. Despite the similarities between Call of Duty and Battlefield, and despite EA's track record in developing other successful AAA franchises such as FIFA, Mass Effect, Need for Speed, which we just covered earlier, and Star Wars Battlefront, the Battlefield franchise cannot keep up. Now, Sony adds that their latest entry sold just 88.7 million compared to Call of Duty's 400. Now, the latest one was also a terrible idea and execution. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. Now, Microsoft keeps telling us that Call of Duty is not going to be an Xbox exclusive because it sells too many copies on other stuff. Now, Elder Scrolls will be, and Starfield probably will be, but I've got to be honest with you guys. I don't think Elder Scrolls or Starfield are selling 400 million copies a year. And Fallout 76 is niche, so yeah, Sony may not 100 believe it. But at the same time, not selling Call of Duty to half of your current player base would be incredibly stupid. And why some people might shift from PlayStation to Xbox, it isn't going to be 200 million. Now, yeah, look, I understand Call of Duty is going to be on Sony for a long time after Microsoft buys them. 200 million copies at $60 is billions of dollars. In fact, it's $12 billion if you only sell a base game at $60. It's not counting any of the online stuff that they always sell. The author ends the article saying that they don't care. It's childish nonsense, and it really is. If somebody sees EA respond to this, hit me up so I can make a follow-up vid, because I really hope EA is like, what the hell are you doing, Sony? We give you some of your best games every year, and this is how you thank us? Sony really did not need to throw EA under the bus like that. They didn't have to mention anything specifically, but they did. And this is just another example of stupidity. Guys, that is your news and everything that happened. It was a very brief half of the week because, again, it was a major holiday here in America. Guess what? It's going to happen again in about a month because we got Christmas. And I'm going to try very hard to have postings every single day on the month of December because it is, if you have monetization, then they pay higher rates. We don't have monetization, but a lot of people are going to be traveling, watching a little more YouTube during then, and I really do think that we might be able to continue our march to 500 with a little bit of help. So it's important to have content every day so you guys can come. You can see video game news. You can see us finishing 2 Point Campus. You can see us playing through Tactics Ogre. And by the way, in just a few days, you'll be able to watch Front Mission 1 Remake thanks to the wonderful Nintendo stuff that I have bought. I am very much looking forward to putting that on. And guys, that is going to be it. Oh, there is one programming change I'm considering doing in December, which is I might just, instead of posting every certain days, I might just we're going to have so many video game videos, I might just make sure you get at least one every day and rotate them as necessary. But that'll be for later, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think, or if there's something you need me to comment on or cover. But guys, games are awesome. You're awesome. Happy belated Thanksgiving, and I'll see you next time.